Hey, what's going on, guys? Bot Mentality here. Today I want to talk a little bit about the SPY, the QQQ, some of the bullish and bearish divergences we've been seeing, and also about the current state of tech and how the Fed's, the FOMC response we had is leading towards the sell-off and kind of caused the sell-off we saw today. And now I'm going to jump over to the VIX and then talk a little bit about my thoughts for trading this upcoming next week. Since I really focus on the short term, and anything outside of a week or two is pretty difficult here in this current market. It's been ridiculously volatile. But yeah, so on the SPY, the first thing I want to point out is, if you notice on the SPY, we've been pretty strong. We had a pullback here earlier this month down here to 372, and then we ripped right up to a new all-time high before selling off, right? This is overall a bullish chart, nothing too crazy about this. But if you jump over to the QQQ, you'll see that while SPY sold off and came back and made a new all-time high, the QQQ sold off and made a significant lower high compared to the prior all-time high. When you look back on the SPY, we made a higher high. So this is significant bearish divergence. People just are not buying tech like they were before, these growth names, which is a little bit concerning as we saw rotation start moving towards value stocks the past 2 weeks. It's a little bit concerning in terms of we get the strongest moves on the SPY when we see tech moving to the upside with the SPY, but we haven't seen that. So it's a little bit, it's like a yellow flag. It's been a sign of caution. And especially if we were to zoom in, you can see we did try to make earlier this week attempts at that 400 SPY, which everyone's been looking for, and we just weren't able to get it. Ended up selling it off immediately, right? And so one of the interesting fundamental changes we had was the Fed declined to extend the capital bank exemption, which is SLR. And essentially, as you can see, we had a bearish response over the past 2 days after that meeting. The meeting was announced this day that they possibly would be extending it. We ripped up, saw a new all-time high set after hours, and then the reality started to sit in that we might not be getting that extension, and then we didn't, and boom, we sold it all off, right, immediately. So that is concerning, given the fact that we have so much room to pull back, guys. We have so much room to pull back and remain in the bullish trend. We could see a move to 370. We could even see a move to 330, and it wouldn't even be that big of a deal when you zoom out and look at the big picture here, right? The big picture, a 330 pullback would put us here at just a pre-corona dump, right? So we have a lot of room to the downside. We've been extremely bought up, moving essentially straight up for the most part when you zoom out. We have room where we can retrace the downside. We have a bearish catalyst that confirms that, as far as the a negative response to the Fed's decision. We've seen weakness in the QQQ. I just talked about the bearish divergence we've had here over the past, honestly, month and a half, really. And if we zoom in just to talk about this week's or today's price action, you'll see the SPY sold it off here into the close, and we're gapping down a little bit after hours. And if you jump over and look at tech, there was a name like Apple, which is the majority, one of the highest rated, if not the high. I think it is the highest rated in the QQQ currently. Closed really weak at the lows, about to break down. But we've had other names like Amazon, closed strong today. Tesla closed strong today. I think Microsoft got hit, but they tried to bring it back. Yeah, it got hit into the close, but sitting there nearly green after hours. We had a couple names really try and bring it back. Which is not showing the complete market picture, as far as we're looking for all tech to correlate to one direction. That'll help influence the SPY, the QQQ, and then we can trade that direction, right? We saw a little bit of a mix-up of tech into the close, as far as whether they're moving up or down, but I think that's going to settle itself out probably this early this upcoming week. But as far as my thoughts on the overall market and where we could see the SPY move to, because we're not seeing tech, we're seeing tech is being weak right now, and it's been weak for a while. Because we're seeing that, also because we just saw another reject of the all-time high, and because, let's be honest, we are so extended to the upside, big picture, on the weekly, on the monthly, we are very extended to the upside. Pulling back would be entirely acceptable and create opportunities for the long, right? And it would even be healthy on the monthly time frame. It would even be healthy to see that sort of pullback. So given where we're at right now, I'm pretty much 70-30. I'm thinking there's a 70% chance we head down, Monday versus a 30% chance we head up. I'm not thinking this is the dip buy. Not here. Not since the SPY sold down and we sold below 390 and, we closed there. Beta, what does look good for the bulls is the fact that beta as a complete whole didn't sell to the downside at the close. Like I talked about Amazon, Tesla, they moved to the upside. That is positive, but I don't think that's enough to keep the overall market up, especially when we have a bearish response to that Fed decision, right? So that being said, I want to jump over here and show you the VIX chart, the volatility index. As you know, this when there's times of high fear, you're going to see this move sharply to the upside, right? So back in January, we had a huge move up here to 38, and I'll zoom into more recent price action here. Back in February and early March, we saw two nice spikes up to the VIX. This was back when the SPY went, let me zoom in here, went down to that, back here. Yeah, this was when the SPY pulled back to this 372 area. That was this move up here on the VIX. So if we were to see us, a heavy selling down to 372, we could reasonably expect the VIX to end up somewhere near 30, right? So that would be an entirely acceptable move, and that would be a good start as far as to that pullback idea. It just doesn't seem very likely that we're going to just gap up, reclaim, 392, 393 supply, and then make a run to 400 right now. It can happen. Anything can happen. That's why you need to always keep your risk in check. But it seems like right now we have more room to the downside. And we have more room for the VIX to make this move to the upside. If you look here on the close, VIX gapped up and had a period of high fear early morning, and even though we sold back towards the lows, the VIX wasn't quite to make it back towards that green, right? So it still has a lot of room to recoup here to the upside. If you guys know that I've been stalking that VIX play ever since this parabolic. When anytime the VIX gets over 35, there's an extremely high probability of that short setup, and I'll be looking for that to the upside. At the same time, I'm looking for the long on the SPY, on tech names that are overextended to the downside. But for right now, I have all my long positions off, and I'm starting to look short biased into Monday. And I think that's pretty much all I had to say. It just doesn't seem, I don't know, if we were going to see the bullish idea after we got a positive response from the FOMC and pulled back, we would have held like 394, 395, recouped. Let me zoom in here. We would have recouped here around 395 and then headed back up towards 400 to close the week, at least near the highs. Because we rolled it over immediately and we're seeing tech week, I'm just not really buying this. I'm not buying into the close here heading for Monday. I think there's a potential for more downside. But hope this was a little insightful here for you guys. Just wanted to give some of my thoughts. I would hold off, and what I'm doing is holding off on any of my longs. I'm going to remain patient there. I'm looking for a little bit of the bearish setup, and then as soon as we get some significant confirmation where we see those elevated VIX levels up, over 28, 29, 30, that's when I'll start paying more attention to the long side idea. But until we see that this VIX get up over 25, 26, 27, I wouldn't say, go all in hammering short. We also need to see tech start to sell along with the SPY at the same time. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I feel like I'm just sitting here rambling, but continue to stay focused, develop that bot mentality, which is a trading mentality where you learn to eliminate your emotions so you can trade like a machine, guys. I'm out of here. Deuces.